5 years had passed since that fateful day when the luminous dawn sent its distress signal. The galaxy had changed in ways that even the oldest council members had not predicted. The Rapid Response Coalition had grown far beyond anyone's initial expectations. What started as mostly human ships now included volunteers from 37 different species. They operated from stations scattered throughout council space and independent territories. Each station was staffed, supplied, and ready to respond at any moment. Captain Kang, now Admiral Kang, stood in the operations center of Response Station Harmony. He watched the holographic display that showed the entire network of response teams across the sector. Beside him stood Captain Vrelmoth, now his chief of staff. The Zelthian's 3 eye stalks tracked the various active missions displayed on the screen. "How many calls today?" Kang asked. 17 calls for help, Vrelmoth replied. Engine failure on a Corvin merchant vessel. Medical emergency on a mining station in the Theta sector. Environmental systems failing on a colony world. "All routine, all handled by our teams within the hour." "Routine," Kang said thoughtfully. 5 years ago, any one of those would have been a crisis. Now they are routine because someone is there to help. Because you taught us to be there. Vrelmoth corrected gently. Your species showed us that the measure of civilization is not how advanced your technology is, or how big your territory is. It is how you treat those who need help. On the display, a new alert flashed. Distress call from an unknown vessel in uncharted space. Species identification uncertain. Kang smiled. "Send the Mercy's Hand and Soul's Pride and get me Commander Yoon. She will want to know about this." "Already done, Admiral." "They are powering up their hyperdrives now." Kang watched the display as 2 dots representing human ships began moving toward the distress call. He knew that somewhere out there, frightened beings were sending a desperate message into space, hoping that someone would hear. And someone had heard. Someone always would. The change in the galaxy was not just about the Response Coalition. It was deeper than that. In the 5 years since humanity had answered that first call, the very culture of the galaxy had begun to shift. Species that had been rivals for centuries started cooperating on rescue operations. The Corvin Empire, once so suspicious of humanity, now had 3 of their ships permanently assigned to response stations. They had learned that helping others did not make you weak. It made you strong. Independent colonies that had struggled alone for generations now knew they had backup. Mining operations in dangerous asteroid fields worked with less fear. Research vessels explored further into unknown space, because they all knew that if something went wrong, someone would come. And it was not just about physical rescue. The cultural exchange programs that Velshara had proposed had grown into something beautiful. Young humans served on alien ships learning their ways. Young aliens served on human ships absorbing the stubborn determination to help that defined humanity. Commander Yoon Sora, who had been one of the first responders 5 years ago, now ran the medical training program for the Response Coalition. She taught doctors and medics from dozens of species. Her most important lesson was simple. Every life matters. Every call deserves a response. No one gets left behind. Lieutenant Commander Nam Yoonji, the stealth ship captain who had broken radio silence to help, now trained rapid response teams in quick deployment tactics. Her specialty was teaching people how to make hard decisions fast, how to act when seconds counted. Even civilian captains like Han Junho had found new purpose. His cargo ship Busan Runner now carried emergency supplies to response stations across the sector. He had inspired dozens of other civilian captains to do the same. They formed an informal network of support, making sure that rescuers never ran out of supplies. Back on Earth and the human colonies, the rescue of the luminous dawn had become legend. Children grew up hearing the story. It was taught in schools as an example of humanity's best qualities. Not our weapons, not our technology, but our willingness to help. And that willingness had earned humanity something precious. Respect. The council species that had once viewed humans as primitive and dangerous now saw them as partners. The independent species that had no one to turn to now had friends. Even species that had never joined the council, who lived far from civilized space, knew about humanity. They knew that if they called, humans would answer. On Response Station Harmony, Admiral Kang received a communication from an unexpected source. It was from Counselor Greth, the Corvin who had been so angry about humanity's violation of protocols 5 years ago. Admiral Kang, Greth's growling voice came through the translator. I wanted to inform you that the Corvan Empire is officially requesting to expand our partnership with the Response Coalition. We wish to add 5 more ships to the program. Kang raised his eyebrows in surprise. That is generous, Counselor. May I ask what changed your mind? Greth was quiet for a moment. Then he said, 3 months ago, one of our survey ships had a catastrophic failure in deep space. They sent a distress call. Your people responded within 20 minutes. They saved my nephew and his entire crew. His voice became softer. I understand now what you tried to tell me 5 years ago. This is not about protocols or politics. This is about being the kind of species that deserves to explore the stars, the kind that helps instead of ignores. You showed us that, Admiral, and my people are grateful. After the communication ended, Vrelmoth looked at Kang with what might have been a smile on his alien features. You have changed the galaxy, Admiral. Kang shook his head. Humanity changed it. Every captain who answered that first call. Every crew member who has responded since. They are the ones who proved what we could be. He looked at the star map again, at all the response stations, at all the ships ready to help, at all the species working together. You know what the best part is? Kang asked. What? We are just getting started. There are whole regions of space we have not reached yet, thousands of species we have not met, and every single one of them will learn the same thing. If they need help, someone will come. Vrelmoth's eye stalks moved in a pattern that showed deep emotion. 5 years ago, my crew and I were dying in the dark. We sent a desperate call thinking no one would hear. We were wrong. You heard, you came, and you did not just save our lives. You saved our hope. He looked at the humans working in the operations center, coordinating rescue missions across light years of space. You showed the galaxy something it had forgotten, Vrelmoth continued, that we are not just individual species competing for resources and territory. We are neighbors, and neighbors help each other. Kang nodded slowly. That is all we ever wanted to be. Good neighbors. On the display, the Mercy's hand and Soul's Pride reached the distressed vessel. Another successful rescue. Another group of beings who would live to see tomorrow because someone had answered their call. Across the galaxy, millions of beings went about their daily lives with a little less fear. Because they knew something now. They knew that in this vast, cold universe they were not alone. If they called for help, humanity would answer. And humanity had taught the galaxy to answer too. The distress call that had reached human space by mistake 5 years ago had changed everything. It had revealed humanity's true nature to the galaxy, not as conquerors or merchants or politicians, but as the stubborn, helpful neighbors who would cross light years to save a stranger. And the galaxy was better for it. Threndal was silent for a long moment. His crystal form made soft chiming sounds, which meant he was thinking deeply. Finally he spoke. Captain Kang, the Council will need to discuss humanity's actions in formal session. However, I personally believe that while you violated protocols, you upheld something more important, the moral foundation that the Council was supposedly built on. We shall see what comes of this. In the meantime, Velshara added, the Zelthian Confederacy would like to formally request an exchange program with humanity. We wish to learn more about your culture, your values, your way of approaching the galaxy, and we wish to share our knowledge in return. Kang glanced at Mireille, who nodded slightly. We would be honored, Counselor. But I should warn you, if you are around humanity long enough, you will end up helping people even when it is not convenient. Velshara's translator picked up what might have been amusement. Captain, after today, I think the galaxy could use a little more inconvenience in the name of helping others. As the delegation prepared to leave, Threndal turned back one last time. Captain Kang, one final question. Your vessel is a warship heavily armed, built for combat, yet you used it for rescue. Does your species not see a problem with that? Kang met the Counselor's gaze steadily. Counselor, we built ships like the Indomitable to protect people, to stand between the innocent and anything that would harm them. Whether that is an enemy fleet or a failing reactor does not matter. We are here to help. That is what these weapons are for, to make sure we can protect those who need it, whether they are human or not. After the delegation left, Commander Choi let out a long breath. Well, that could have gone worse. It is not over, Mireille warned. The Council will debate this for weeks. Some species will see us as dangerous. Others will see us as potential allies. And some, Kang said thoughtfully, watching the stars through the viewports, will see us as people they can call when they need help. And that is exactly what I want them to see. 3 months passed since the rescue of the luminous dawn. The galaxy had changed in ways both small and large. Captain Kang sat in his office aboard the Indomitable, reading reports that would have seemed impossible just months ago. The Zelthian Confederacy had formally proposed humanity for full council membership. They wanted to skip the usual 100-year probationary period. 5 other species had supported the motion, but more interesting were the reports from Fleet Command. In the past 90 days, human vessels had responded to 43 more distress calls across their patrol sectors. Not all were as dramatic as the luminous dawn. Most were simply ships with damaged engines or medical emergencies. But each time humanity had answered, and each time word spread further, there was a knock at his door. "Enter." Lieutenant Commander Shin Mirai stepped inside carrying a datapad. Her expression showed both excitement and concern. "Sir, you need to see this." She turned on the holographic projector on his desk. An image appeared showing a star map of the outer territories beyond Council space. This was where smaller independent species lived without the Council's protection. "We are receiving messages," Mirai explained. "Dozens of them. Small colonies, independent ship captains, mining operations, research stations, all asking the same question. Will humanity respond to their distress calls too?" Kang leaned back in his chair, thinking about what this meant. "We are not just talking about Council space anymore. No, sir. Word has spread through the independent networks. There are species out there who have never had anyone to call when things go wrong. No councils, no alliances, no defense agreements. They have always been on their own. And now they think they can call us, yes, sir. And more than that, they trust that we will come." Kang was quiet for a moment, thinking about the weight of that trust, the responsibility it meant. Then his mind went to Captain Vrelmoth and his crew, to the 43 Zelthians who would have died if humanity had waited for proper authorization. "We cannot be everywhere at once," he said finally. "No, sir. But Fleet Command is already making plans. They want to establish quick response stations throughout human-patrolled space. The Zelthians are offering to share their faster communication technology to help us coordinate better. Even some council species are volunteering resources, because we proved we are not just out here for ourselves." "Exactly, sir. We proved we will actually use those resources to help people, not just to expand our territory." Another knock at the door. Commander Choi entered, his normally stern face showing rare excitement. "Captain, you will want to see this. Live feed from Council Prime." He turned on his own datapad and the image of the Grand Chamber appeared. Councillor Threndal stood at the central podium, his crystal form shining under the chamber's lights. And so, after much deliberation, the Council has reached a decision about humanity's probationary status. While their actions violated many protocols, their commitment to saving life across species boundaries shows the exact principles this council was founded on 10,000 years ago. Principles that perhaps we had allowed to become buried under bureaucracy. The chamber was silent, waiting. Therefore, I propose, and the majority agrees, that humanity be granted full council membership, effective immediately. Furthermore, I propose the creation of a new council initiative, the Rapid Response Coalition, to be organized and led by human personnel, with the goal of making sure that no distress call goes unanswered, regardless of the species, location, or political affiliation of those in need. The chamber erupted in discussion. Some voices were raised in approval, others in concern, but the measure had clearly passed. Choi turned off the feed, grinning widely. "Sir, we just went from probationary newcomers to full council members and got put in charge of galactic rescue operations. All because you decided to help some stranded aliens." Kang shook his head, but he was smiling too. "We all decided, Commander. Every ship that responded, every crew member who went beyond their duty. This belongs to all of them. What do we do now?" Mirai asked. Kang stood, walking to the viewport that looked out at the stars. Stars that now seemed a little less cold, a little less empty. Somewhere out there, people would call for help. Maybe tomorrow, maybe in an hour. And humanity would answer. "We do what we have always done," Kang said. "We keep watch, we listen. And when someone needs help, we go. It does not matter if they are human, Zelthian, or something we have never heard of. If they are in trouble, we are coming." He turned to face his officers. "Send word to the fleet. We are going to need more ships, more people, better coordination. And someone contact Captain Vrelmoth. I want to thank him for speaking up for us at the council." "Already done, sir." Mirai said. He actually requested permission to join the Indomitable as a cultural liaison. Says he wants to learn more about the species who came when no one else would. Approved. Welcome him aboard. As his officers left to carry out his orders, Kang stayed at the viewport thinking about the strange path that had led them here. One distress call sent by mistake had changed everything. Galactic Council Station Prime was a marvel of construction. It orbited a neutron star, its shining towers and docking rings showing 10,000 years of cooperation between species. In the Grand Chamber, representatives from 47 different species gathered for an emergency meeting. Their forms ranged from clouds of gas to beings made of crystal to more normal biological creatures. Councillor Threndal was a tall being made of crystal. His species, the Vathari, had been leading the council for 3 terms. He called the meeting to order with a musical chime that rang through the chamber. "We are here to discuss the incident at Sector 447 Gamma," Threndal announced. His voice was translated into every language present. 7 hours ago, a Zelthian research vessel experienced catastrophic failure and sent a distress signal. Before Council rescue ships could be sent, the situation was resolved. "Resolved by humans," snarled Councillor Greth. He was a massive bear-like creature with 6 eyes and a bad temper. He represented the Corvan Empire, an unauthorized military response by a probationary species. This is exactly the kind of aggressive behavior we were warned about. Murmurs of agreement came from some parts of the chamber. Others stayed silent, waiting to hear more. Councillor Velshara rose from her coiled position. She was a graceful, snake-like being who represented the Zelthian Confederacy. "I have spoken with Captain Vrelmoth and his crew. They are alive, healthy, and being treated with great respect by the human fleet. My people owe these humans their lives. That is not the point." Greth slammed a massive paw on his podium. "Humanity sent 17 military vessels without permission, without clearance, and without asking this council. They crossed into unregulated space with warships. To save lives," Velshara countered. "Something our own rescue operations would not have reached in time to do." Threndal raised a crystal arm for silence. "Let us look at the facts. The distress signal reached human space because of a malfunction in the Luminous Dawn's communications. By the time our own vessels could have responded, the Zelthian crew would have died. The humans reached them with minutes to spare. But 17 ships?" Another counselor interrupted. 17 separate vessels all responded independently? That suggests a coordinated military action, a fleet deployment, or, came a new voice, it suggests a cultural imperative to respond to distress calls. The chamber fell silent as Councillor Yixthal drifted forward. The Zephyrin was one of the oldest council members. His species looked like glowing jellyfish. His body pulsed with light patterns that showed emotion. "I have been studying the humans since they arrived in council space 73 years ago," Yixthal continued. "They are aggressive, yes. Territorial, certainly. But above all else, they have what they call stubbornness. When they commit to something, they do not give up. And one of their strongest cultural values, present across all their nations, is this: when someone calls for help, you answer. That is a liability," Greth growled. "They will go bankrupt responding to every small incident across the galaxy. Or," Velshara said softly, "they will save lives that would otherwise be lost." Threndal's crystal form chimed thoughtfully. "I propose we send an official delegation to meet with the human fleet. We need to understand their intentions and make clear the protocols they violated. And we need to thank them," Velshara added firmly. "My people will not forget this debt." The vote was called. Despite opposition from several council members who saw humanity's quick response as dangerously militaristic, the majority agreed to send a delegation. What they did not know was that the human response was already causing effects across the galaxy. News of the rescue was spreading through informal channels, through cargo ships and merchant vessels, through the thousands of independent species who existed outside the council's formal structure, and the message was clear. Humanity would come if you called. The diplomatic meeting happened aboard the Indomitable in a cargo bay that had been quickly converted into a neutral meeting space. Captain Kang stood with Lieutenant Commander Shin Mirai, Commander Choi, and several other officers. The council delegation appeared using advanced teleportation technology. Councillor Threndal stepped forward, his crystal form reflecting the bay's light into rainbow patterns. Behind him came Velshara and 2 other councillors. Captain Kang Minho of the UESN Indomitable, Threndall began. I am Counselor Threndall, representing the Galactic Council. We come to discuss the incident involving the Zelthian vessel. Kang straightened, showing his military bearing.
Counselor.
We are ready to give you a full report on our rescue operations. That would be good. However, I must first address the fact that your response, while successful, violated several Council protocols about military deployments, territorial boundaries, and, with respect, Counselor, Kang interrupted calmly. We did not have time to fill out paperwork. People were dying. Threndall paused. His harmonic voice changed tone. You received a distress call and responded immediately without asking your command? I asked my conscience, sir. My orders are to patrol this sector and respond to threats and emergencies. 43 people about to die was an emergency. And the other 16 vessels? Another counselor asked. They also violated protocols. They also saved lives, Mirai said smoothly. Counselor, perhaps there is a cultural misunderstanding here. In human space, distress calls take absolute priority. It is not just military protocol. It is maritime law going back thousands of years. When someone is in trouble, you help. It is that simple. Nothing in galactic politics is simple, Threndall replied, but his tone had softened. However, I begin to understand. Your species operates on different principles than most council members. Different does not mean wrong, Commander Choi added. Those Zelthians are alive because we did not wait for permission. Velshara, who had been silent until now, moved forward. Her snake-like form moved with grace as she approached Captain Kang. When she spoke, her voice carried real emotion. Captain Kang, on behalf of the Zelthian Confederacy and the crew of the Luminous Dawn, I offer you our deepest thanks. You risked your ship, your crew, and your career to save people you had never met. This is a debt we cannot easily repay. Kang shook his head. No debt needed, Counselor. We did what anyone should do. But not what everyone would do, Velshara replied. That is the point. Captain, may I speak honestly? Of course. The Galactic Council has existed for thousands of years. We have protocols, procedures, chains of command, and in that time we have become cautious, bureaucratic. There are species in this galaxy who would have filled out forms while my people died, then filed reports about the tragedy afterward. You did not. Your species did not. You just acted. She turned to address the other counselors. I have spent hours speaking with Captain Vrelmoth and his crew. They are amazed by the humans. Not by their technology, which is good but not exceptional. Not by their military power, which is concerning but not overwhelming. They are amazed that 17 ships came immediately, without question, without hesitation, without expecting payment. They came simply because someone needed help. This is the behavior of a naive species, one counselor muttered. Or, Yixthal's glowing form pulsed brightly. This is the behavior of a species that remembers what it means to be vulnerable. Humans are new to the galactic stage. They still remember what it is like to be alone, to be helpless, to desperately need rescue, and because they remember, they act. The Indomitable appeared from hyperspace with a bright flash of light. On the bridge, Captain Kang held onto his command chair as the ship shook from the sudden exit. Report, Kang shouted. Park Jiwoo's hands moved quickly across her control panel. I found them. The ship is Zelthian design, a civilian research vessel. Very bad damage on the left side. The reactor is going to explode in less than 6 minutes, sir. Can we grab them with a tractor beam? The ship is too big and we need to match their speed first. We do not have enough time. Kang's jaw tightened. They had come all this way. They had pushed their engines to the limit. They might still fail to save these people. Then he had an idea. What about their escape pods? Can we grab those? Jiwoo's eyes went wide. Yes, sir. But the internal sensors show no pods have launched yet. They are still inside the ship. They do not know we are here, Commander Choi realized. They have given up hope. Not while I am here. Kang pressed the communications button. Hyun, broadcast on all frequencies. Tell them to leave the ship right now. And get someone who speaks their language. We have Zelthian language in our database, sir. I can translate. Good. Tell them to get off that ship now. Inside the Luminous Dawn, Captain Vrelmoth had made peace with dying. His crew sat together in the main chamber. Some prayed. Others simply held each other. The reactor countdown showed 4 minutes left. Then the communications system crackled to life. A voice spoke in perfect Zelthian, though with a strange accent. Luminous Dawn, this is the UESN Indomitable. We are here to help. Leave your ship now. Launch all escape pods. We will recover you. I repeat, abandon ship now. Vrelmoth's 3 eyes stretched upward in shock. What? Who is that? Sir, his communications officer yelled. I detect a massive ship. Unknown type. It is enormous. On the view screen, they saw a human battleship. The hull was covered with weapons. The engines glowed with power. It was clearly a warship, but it had come to answer their distress call. Who are they? Vrelmoth whispered. No match in our database, Captain. They are not registered with the Council. Vrelmoth did not care. You heard them. Everyone to the escape pods, move! The Zelthian crew scrambled into action. Years of emergency training took over despite their fear. 27 escape pods launched from the dying vessel in a rush of emergency thrusters. Each pod barely cleared the ship before the countdown reached 2 minutes. On the Indomitable, Jiwoo watched carefully. Pods launched. Tractor beams engaged. We have them all. Bring them aboard, Kang ordered. Helm, get us away from that reactor. Full power. The Indomitable pulled away from the luminous dawn. Its tractor beams hauled the escape pods toward the hangar bay. They had covered 2 kilometers when the Zelthian ship's reactor finally gave up. The explosion was beautiful and terrible. A sphere of white-hot energy expanded outward at incredible speed. The Indomitable's shields flared bright blue as the shockwave struck them. The whole ship shuddered under the impact. Shields holding at 40%. Someone called out. Damage to rear sections, nothing critical. All pods secured in the hangar bay. Kang let himself breathe. They had done it. Everyone was safe. Then Jiwoo spoke up again. Her voice sounded puzzled. Captain, I'm detecting multiple hyperspace signatures. Ships are coming out of hyperspace all around us. More Zelthian ships? No, sir. Jiwoo looked up from her console with wide eyes. They are human. Soul's Pride, Mercy's Hand, Busan Runner. Sir, we have 17 ships arriving at this position. Every human vessel within range just showed up. Commander Choi let out a low whistle. They all heard the distress call. Kang felt proud. This was who they were. This was what humanity did. Open a channel to all ships. Let us coordinate our efforts and take care of our guests. And someone find me a diplomatic officer. I think we are about to make quite an impression. In the hangar bay of the Indomitable, Captain Vrelmoth and his crew came out of their escape pods on shaking legs. The bay was huge. It was designed to hold many squadrons of fighter ships. Everywhere the Zelthians looked, they saw humans. These creatures walked on 2 legs, similar to many other Council species. But there was something intense in their eyes that was unsettling. They moved with purpose and efficiency. More than that, they moved with urgency. Medical teams rushed forward with stretchers and equipment. Engineers looked at the pods for damage. Security guards stood watch with weapons ready but not drawn. A tall human in a dark blue uniform walked up to Vrelmoth. Her black hair was pulled back. She pressed her hand to her chest and spoke through a handheld translator device. Captain Vrelmoth, I am Lieutenant Commander Shin Mirai, diplomatic liaison for the Indomitable. Are you or any of your crew injured? No, Vrelmoth stammered. Only minor injuries. You saved us, all of us. How did you get here so fast? Mirai's expression softened. We received your distress call. We came as quickly as we could. But who are you? What species? I do not recognize your ships, your design, your anything. We are human, Mirai said simply. And you are safe now. That is all that matters. Come, let us take you and your crew to medical. We need to make sure everyone is healthy. As Vrelmoth was gently guided toward the medical bay, he looked back at the hangar. He saw the organized chaos of humans working to help his crew. Through a window, he could see more ships arriving. A fleet gathered not for war but for rescue. What have we done? He whispered to himself. What kind of species did we just contact? He did not know it yet, but across the Galactic Council, alarms were beginning to sound. The humans were supposed to be primitive and aggressive. They were supposed to be avoided. But they had just mobilized a fleet in minutes to save a crew of aliens they had never met. The galaxy was about to learn what humanity meant by the word neighbor. Far away, on Galactic Council Station Prime, emergency meetings were being called. Council members from dozens of species gathered to discuss what had happened. 17 human warships had responded to a distress call without authorization. They had crossed into unregulated space. They had violated protocols, but they had also saved 43 lives that would have been lost. Some council members were angry. They saw this as proof that humans were dangerous and unpredictable. Others were thoughtful. They wondered what it meant that humans had responded so quickly, so completely, without expecting anything in return. And in the informal networks that existed outside the Council's control, among the cargo haulers and independent colonies and merchant vessels, word was spreading fast. The humans had come when called. They had saved everyone, and they had done it not for politics or profit, but simply because someone needed help. Across the galaxy, beings of 100 different species began to wonder. If they were ever in trouble, would the humans come for them too? The answer, they would soon learn, was yes. The alien ship was dying. Inside the research vessel called Luminous Dawn, Captain Vrelmoth watched his screens with fear. His 3 eyes moved nervously as another piece of the ship broke apart. The sound of metal screaming filled the air. "How much time do we have?" Vrelmoth asked his crew member. "Maybe 15 minutes. Maybe less," the crew member answered. His voice shook with fear. The ship had been doing normal survey work near the edge of known space. Everything was fine until they flew too close to something they did not expect. It was a black hole, small but deadly. The gravity tore through their hull like paper. Now their reactor was failing and everyone on board would die soon. "Send the emergency call again," Vrelmoth ordered. "Use all channels. Someone must hear us." But the captain did not know something important. Their communications system was badly damaged. The distress signal was not going to the right places. Instead of sending only to the Galactic Council channels, the broken system was broadcasting everywhere. The signal went to hundreds of different frequencies, including some that belonged to a species the Council had marked as dangerous. The signal reached the humans. On the human battleship called Indomitable, Communications Officer Lee Hyun was about to finish his work shift. Suddenly, his control board lit up with dozens of alerts. Lights flashed everywhere. "What is this?" Hyun leaned forward and started pressing buttons quickly. "Captain Kang, we have a distress signal coming in." Captain Kang Minho came out of his office fast. He was 53 years old and had fought in many battles. His face showed no fear, only focus. He looked at the information on the screens. "Can you make it clearer?" Kang asked. "I am trying, sir." Hyun worked on the controls. After a moment, a voice came through the speakers. The ship's computer translated the alien words into human language. "Catastrophic failure. 15 minutes until explosion. 43 crew members. Please help. Anyone." Everyone on the bridge became silent. They all understood what this meant. Somewhere in space, people were about to die. "How far away are they?" Kang demanded. Park Jiwoo, the navigation officer, checked her screens. Her voice stayed calm even though the situation was serious. 4.2 light years away, sir. If we push our engines very hard, we can get there in 9 minutes. That is cutting it very close, said Commander Choi Dae-ho quietly. Kang did not wait to think about it. Battle stations, everyone. Start the hyperdrive. Navigation, find the fastest way to get there, and someone call Fleet Command and tell them what we are doing. Sir, the rules say we need permission before we... Choi started to say. The rules can punish me later, Kang interrupted. There are 43 people about to die, and we are the only ones close enough to save them. Now move! The Indomitable shook as its huge engines roared to life. Within minutes, the battleship tore a hole through space and disappeared in a flash of bright blue light. Captain Kang and his crew did not know something important. The distress signal had reached 17 other human ships that were close enough to hear it. Humans were still new to space, only about 100 years since they started traveling to other stars. The older alien species still thought humans were primitive and maybe dangerous. But humans had one special quality that made them different from everyone else. When someone called for help, humans always answered. The destroyer Soul's Pride was 3 light years away. Its captain immediately changed course to help. The medical ship Mercy's Hand was carrying Commander Yoon Sora and her entire surgical team. They pushed their engines beyond safe limits to respond to the call. The cargo ship Busan Runner was carrying supplies to a colony. Captain Han Junho was an old civilian ship captain. He changed his route without thinking twice. Even the stealth spy ship Silent Shadow was on a secret mission. Its captain, Lieutenant Commander Nam Yoonji, broke radio silence. She made the decision in 5 seconds. Cancel the mission. People are dying. We go help them. Across human space, every ship that heard the call made the same choice. When someone needed help, humanity answered. It did not matter who was asking or why. 17 ships started moving toward the same point in space. They were military warships, medical ships, and civilian cargo haulers. All of them were going to save a dying alien ship. The alien crew did not know yet that they had just made first contact with the most stubborn, helpful species in the galaxy. The aliens had 11 minutes left to live. Back on the luminous dawn, Vrelmoth had accepted that death was coming. His crew gathered together in the main room. Some were praying to their gods. Others just held each other as the countdown to reactor explosion continued. 10 minutes left. 9 minutes, 8. Then something impossible happened. The broken communication system suddenly made a sound. A voice spoke in perfect Zelthian language, though the accent was strange. Luminous Dawn, this is the UESN Indomitable. We are here to help you. Leave your ship immediately. Launch all escape pods right now. We will catch you. I repeat, abandon ship now. Vrelmoth's 3 eyes shot wide open in shock. What, who? Sir, his communications officer shouted. I detect a massive ship. Unknown design. It is huge. On their view screen, an image appeared. It was a human battleship. The hull was covered with weapons. The engines glowed with barely controlled power. This was clearly a warship, but it had come to save them. Who are they? Vrelmoth whispered. Our database has no information, Captain. They are not in the Council records. Vrelmoth did not care who they were. You heard them. Everyone to the escape pods. Move quickly. The Zelthian crew ran to the escape pods. They had trained for emergencies many times. Even though they were terrified, they knew what to do. 27 small pods launched from the dying ship. They barely got clear when the countdown reached 3 minutes. On the Indomitable bridge, Park Jiwoo watched her screens carefully. Pods are away. Tractor beams locked on. We have them all. Bring them inside, Kang ordered. Helm, get us away from that reactor. Maximum speed. The Indomitable began moving away from the luminous dawn. Its tractor beams pulled the escape pods toward the hangar bay. They had moved 2 kilometers away when the Zelthian ship's reactor finally exploded. The explosion was beautiful and terrible. A ball of white-hot fire expanded outward incredibly fast. The Indomitable's shields flashed bright blue as the shockwave hit them. The entire ship shook hard. Shields holding at 40%, someone called out. Minor damage to rear sections. All pods are safe in the hangar bay. Kang allowed himself to breathe. They had done it. They saved everyone. Then Jiwoo spoke again. She sounded confused. Captain, I am detecting multiple hyperspace signatures. More ships are arriving. More Zelthian ships? Kang asked. No, sir. Jiwoo looked up from her screens with wide eyes. They are human ships. The Soul's Pride, the Mercy's Hand, the Busan Runner. Sir, we have 17 ships arriving at this location. Every human ship that was close enough just showed up. Commander Choi whistled quietly. They all heard the distress call too. Kang felt pride in his chest. This was who humans were. This was what humanity did when someone needed help.